Today, we're going to speak about the future, put it in the present, because most of the companies that you're going to encounter today are still probably 6 months, 1 year, 2 years ahead. We cannot go above 2 years in demand of the tech, because as we know, it changes every morning. And we have surprises that probably made this new world invented with disruption. So let me introduce you to our first panel, which is the panel on digital technologies and digital companies. You have around you those 5 outstanding people who are representing the digital ecosystem in Morocco. The particular thing about our guests is that they are representing not only themselves, but also generally whole ecosystems in which they contribute, which helps the dynamic of digitals go ahead further and further very fast. So let me first introduce you to Khalid Mashat. Khalid, you were an entrepreneur in digital transformation for a while. You have an extended experience around 30 countries on digital. You're part of the innovation hub of the UM6P OCP group. So you handle another type of responsibility, which is a transversal responsibility. And when you were part of the special commissions about the new model of development of Morocco. So Khalid, let us know, as you were in the middle of the whole spectrum of whatever the model of development Morocco proposed for the future, at least for the 5 years ahead. Let us know what is the vision that the model of development presents on the digital side, because I know in the core of the proposals, the digital is like a transversal. And on the starting blocks of the future 5 years that we encounter since the new government, digital is on the first place of the five trends that Morocco has to encounter. Please, Khalid, tell us about it.
Thank you, Karim. So the new development model of Morocco, as we've worked on establishing it, had the most important element to it was to focus on a view of the future in 15, 20, 30 years from now. Obviously, we can't know what the future holds, but the focus was to create wholesome vision for the future, and that vision obviously could not be transpired without the integration of digital technologies and how they affect all the sectors that we've treated, from energy to social and economic development, as well as digital itself as a part of the economic ecosystem. And so not only have we, in the development model, discussed how digital can affect every single element of our society, healthcare, education, you name it, but also the economy of digital and how can it propulse the economic environment of Morocco to the next stage, whether it be regionally or internationally.
That's great. And from there, how do you think a company like yours can evolve with the Moroccan? As a person, what is the idea you had in mind when the whole thing was completely nearly finished and the vision was clear? What did you say about a company like yours? How could you thrive in the future?
To be honest, for a company like mine, where we had a lot of difficulty seeing ourselves developing further within the Moroccan environment before working specifically on the new development model and seeing how the emphasis was put on the digital economy and how we participated in, myself in my humble position, to try to push it forward, as well as our co-panelists. Now that, as you said, the deal is done, the report is there, the new development model is established, it's a lot clearer for me that Morocco is setting its emphasis on digital technologies, and the composition of the government that happens a few days ago reconforts me and many of our compatriots are working within this space into saying that we don't need to go outside to develop our activities anymore. We can develop our activities internationally. We can develop our activities with the infrastructure of Morocco. We can develop our activities through the radiation of organizations and investments that are funneled through Amdieu, that are funneled through our international Morocco Now brand.
Yeah, great, great. Speaking about going abroad, Mr. Abslam Alawi Ismaili, you're CEO of a great company, a great model of success in Morocco called HPS, which in the payment systems. You are based in several countries, probably 6 or 7. I heard about Dubai, France, Singapore, Johannesburg, Mauritius, Greece, Cyprus, and probably closely United States of America or North America. So those are the places where you have nearly subsidiaries. You also have your product installed in more than 100 countries. So you are an international company at the core. We know each other for almost 35 years. Let's not make each other more old than we are. But I remember you in the beginning where we discussed about HPS 35 years ago. You were a serial entrepreneur at the time, and you had a very precise vision on the way you were seeing your sector as a tech sector in the future. Can you tell us today where you see the work that was done by the model of development, that you were a little bit ahead of the curve from a lot of companies in Morocco on tech? How do you position yourself? What does it change for you? And what do you envision on these model of development first and your personal development as a company?
Thank you, Karim. As you said, we have been in this type of models a bit sooner, and this new model is coming to comfort us in our choices, adjusting most probably some. And let me tell you in a few words what we do. We are consumers of what our schools in Morocco are producing in terms of engineers, in terms of technicians, and we have seen a lot of changes to make sure that what is produced by these schools are ready to produce for companies like ours. We have at the same time made sure that we do not only see what we can have in Morocco, but really anchor ourselves in sub-Saharan countries mainly, where we are also consuming a lot of resources from this side. We have also been sponsored in a way, or helped in a way, because we are also consuming a lot of incentives. I will mention fiscal incentives because of our export. We are consuming a lot of infrastructures that are being built in our country, and I will mention the Casa nearshore or the nearshore campuses. There is a lot of incentives that are being given for training. So we see that there is a lot of structures that would really push companies like us in this. What we do internally, we of course innovate, and this is really the core of our business. But we need also to be totally compliant with all the regulations on the markets where we are present. Obviously, GDPR for data protection, but not only that, especially in the payment industry. The compliance and standards are really important, especially if we want to go outside the country. In terms of innovation, compliance, I think what is also a key, and we have seen this in Morocco, with a lot of efforts being done by the private and the public sector, is the proper governance, or governance at the highest standards. This is really important because this would attract investment. And I can tell you, since we have been able to attract in our board the best in class, I will say, we have seen a lot of investment coming from northern countries that are usually extremely demanding in terms of governance. This goes through ESG, this goes through strong transparency, etc. So with all this, we are able to produce products that are attractive from a cost perspective or from a performance perspective, and also be credible in markets where we have to say that Morocco has not always been seen as a technical platform, while today, and in the payment industry at least, there are more than 20 different companies that are, most of them, exporting Moroccan technology. We are working also with the best in class. I will mention DXC, Capgemini, all over the world, where we are not able maybe to source people in different countries. We have built proper relationship with the biggest company. So in a nutshell, this model that is proposed is totally adapted to what we do. We will be, not most probably, but surely, adapting what we do to make sure that we get the best of it.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, your model has to be an empowering model for other companies that wish to thrive internationally. Do you have any ideas or any mean to help the Moroccan technological digital ecosystem thrive outside Morocco like you did?
Yes, and I will maybe change a little bit your question. I think it's the other way around, and Mehdi would be able to mention this. I think we are getting inspired by these startups. Of course, we are helping. Of course, we are giving advices. Of course, we are taking some of them outside. But this is really giving us a lot of value in all our open innovation programs, where we work with startups in Morocco. We have the chance to be able to do this in different markets. But a tech company like ours that is not in this spirit will not survive, because this is the way development is.
Very strong, very strong. Thank you. Well, Mehdi, Ibm talked about you, so you have the world. You are the vice president of APB, the Moroccan Digital Association, linked to CGM. You are the CEO of La Startup Factory, one of the first and most dynamic startups incubator in Morocco. You do lots of things. You have a new venture on TV programs that you want to launch that we visited. You are a serial tech entrepreneur, and you are an expert on innovation. You see a lot of startups around you and around the world. I know that you travel a lot. You organize within your group a lot of hackathons, in which you have the lead in Morocco and also in Africa, in West Africa at least. Ibm talked about you as a partner that, or a source of inspiration for startups that can be stewarded by HPS around the world. What is your vision as a startup inspirer and steward for this new model of development first? And then, how do you see the startup ecosystem evolve, where around the world, you know that probably only 5% of them would thrive in the future? And this is a figure very little people know. It's very, very hard to sustain as a startup. So you would tell us on the second part of your intervention, what is the necessary needs for Morocco to make more startups thrive?
Thank you, Karim. First, I would like to thank you for this invitation. It's an honor for me to be today with you. Maybe I would love, before going back to the startup ecosystem, talking about digital ecosystem in Morocco. As you know, I'm here today representing APB, who is the Federation of Tech in Morocco, who is a very dynamic federation. We work with the ecosystem. So last year we were into partnership with several actors in Morocco. We work on the Digital Morocco Pact that helped to raise the awareness of the public sector about what is the real need of the private sector. And also we work hand in hand with the government to work in a plan and launching a new brand who is called Morocco Tech in the next weeks. And this brand will help to give more insurance inside the Moroccan market, but and especially outside to give confidence to the investor to believe in the Moroccan tech. Morocco is now much more about couscous and camel, but today we already have tech and we already developed a lot of things in the Moroccan ecosystem. And it's the time for Morocco now to showcase what we can do outside. Coming back to the ecosystem startup, so today we have a very dynamic ecosystem with 2,000 startups in Morocco. 50 of them are in a scale stage. We have different sectors where Morocco is doing well, like fintech, agri-tech, mobility, and health tech. And today we see the first success story in the market. One of them maybe is Sherry. Sherry was just valued $70 million last week, so they get $5 million investment. Another one is Ways to Cap, that was bought with like $15 million from an Egyptian startup. So Moroccan startup ecosystem is going in the right direction, and I'm sure Miriam will give more data about that. She is specialized in finance part. Yeah, and other example we have is also Dabadoc, who is in the health ecosystem. So they was acquired by Orange and AXA Assurance. So we are on the right path, but we need more help, and we need to push that much more. Maybe to finish about what we have to do in the digital ecosystem in Morocco, we really need to work hand in hand, and we need to train much more talent. So our objective in the federation is to push 200,000 new talents in the market for next year, creating also 100,000 new jobs in the digital economy, and pushing and creating 30 billion turnover more in Moroccan market with 50% abroad. So this is our objective in the federation. And third of the member of our federation are startup today, and we are pushing this change in the Moroccan ecosystem. And I truly believe that in the next years will be a spot in Africa in this ecosystem.
How do you see the relation between the groups? As we say, we have a good representative here of what the groups are by having the honor to have the CEO of Renault. What is the relation between the big groups, those big guys who just push for the Moroccan economy to thrive, and the startups ecosystem in Morocco?
I think it's an excellent question, because Africa and Morocco is very special, and one of the things that will help startups to grow is the open innovation. So we worked very hard during the last 5 years on this specific field, and we helped more than 100 startups get contact with the biggest company in Morocco. We worked very hard also with HPS. I think we did a lot of great job, and we present some startup to Toronto, and they start working with them. And this is a very good model that will help our startup to grow, to start locally and grow internationally.
Yeah, very good thing. I want to mention that Morocco was one of the first countries in the world to have developed their internal respiration machine, and it was by putting up in 10 days' time, if my memory is right, 10 days' time, a whole ecosystem was put together with the big industries, with the startup ecosystem, with the government, with all the ecosystem that you can imagine to build this respiratory machine, to build the machines for also making the masks at a very fast pace. So this relation between startups and the big groups, so it's really it's perfect model where this respirator
and it's
was created.
a win-win model.
Absolutely.
It's not about charity, it's about creating value for corporate and giving reference to startup like that they can find a new client. And the best model, you know, to succeed in the startup ecosystem is to give them the ability to showcase what they have, to give them a purchase order and contract. And after that, they will get money from investor.
Yeah, and that brings me to Mehdi Ketani. Mehdi, you are head of a group called the DXCDG. It's the perfect example of the matching of a private group, a private foreign group, which is an American group, I believe, and a Moroccan institution, which is CDG, who is, quote unquote, a government company, ruled like a private company, but 100% government company. CDG is financed by the Moroccan whole population as insurance policies, and it thrives in the tech market through companies like yours. First, you're also a chairman of Morocco Numeric Cluster. You tell us a little bit about it because we feel it's important today. So tell us about your experience, about how you thrive after the consequences of the COVID-19. How did you react? Because the market was pretty shaken. And what do you see? How do you see your future in that market? What is on your opinion, what is the consequences on the Moroccan IT market in the future?
Thank you, Karim, for your presentation. Let me just explain a little bit what DXC technology is doing and what we are doing in Morocco. DXC Technology is an American company, and we deliver all over the world in different delivery centers, in India, for example, Vietnam, and other countries. And Morocco is a regional delivery center with 1,200 people delivering for all Europe, we can say mainly, but all over the world, for some kinds of projects. And we deliver, for example, with HPS for Shell, some magnetic projects. We deliver IT by developing applications, by engineering workplace services, but also outsourcing the whole central IT with data center, for example. The aim of the joint venture at the beginning was to create for CDG a company which will be able to master all the IT of the CDG and to make it at a world standard. And this is what we are doing because we deliver for 70% of our activity for the world. That means that we have one standard, and I want to stress on the fact that people in our company, we are not alone. We talk about Capgemini, IBM, or other companies. All the people who are working with us are at the world standard in Morocco, and I think it's important to understand that. This aim of CDG was to have this world standard, the world best class resources, and we have it. And I have to say, you were talking about COVID-19 and the impact of COVID-19. I think with COVID-19, all of us jumped in the new IT digital paradigm. We were used to work remotely, and we were in the offshore business. That means that we work remotely for Europe. But now, in few days or few weeks, all the world understood and agreed that they will have to work remotely. And they can work from abroad, from Morocco. That means that it's a huge opportunity for us for growing. And you will have a workshop after this one talking about outsourcing. I think Morocco is a very interesting platform and destination because our first asset is our resources. And our resources, I have to say, and to repeat again, that our resources are the best in class in terms of standard because we work at this standard. The impact of COVID-19 is this huge growth. But if we enter into some details, we know that all this impact is for the whole world, and we need more resources. I have to say that we have dozens of thousands of people and engineers coming on the market in Morocco each year, and we have resources, and our retention policy in Morocco, and I have colleagues here, we still have a retention better than what we can have in France or in the eastern of Europe in terms of retention. That means that we are one of the best in class in terms of delivery center for Europe. This is the impact for the resources. The impact also of COVID-19 that on our clients is that today all the infrastructures are on the same level to go outside of Europe, for example, and to work in a more collaborative way between Europe and Morocco. That means I see Peugeot and Renault are here, and we work together, obviously, to serve Europe and to serve all the world. That means that we have a huge growth, we have talented resources, and we have also the critical mass to serve very big projects. I think it's important when we talk about Africa and about some markets, I think it's important to have the critical mass to deliver Europe. You can't do hundreds of people projects if you don't have a critical mass of pool of resources in the same city or in the same country, even if it's on remote way of working.
Yeah, we might discuss a lot about critical mass in the next panel, but it's a very, very big topic because when you compete on digital, you compete with the whole world. I mean, in ones and zeros, and today one and zeros together are a raw material that everybody can use anywhere in the world. We were talking lately about the Bangladesh experience, saying that Bangladesh has over 350 million, I assume, people, and they are producing over 1 million people, 10 million people, I'm sorry, 10 million people for every year. So, Miriam Zaidi, you are head of the Digital Commission at CGM. It's a very big responsibility that you have over there because digital at CGM was put as a priority since the nomination of the president, Mr. Shakib Lalej and Mehdi Tazi. It's a big topic. Everybody speaks about it. All federations are speaking about it. All commissions are using it. We also, in the 30th region, all regions of Morocco are talking about it. As I have the honor to preside the 30th regions of Moroccans abroad entrepreneurs, we speak a lot about it. We have a special commission on digital for the 30th region. It's a big responsibility for you, Miriam. And also, as an entrepreneur, you are head of the SAIF investment company, and you are looking at all those companies around you and willing to say, well, there might be something we can do together. Maybe we could invest, and they're looking at you as the lady that could save the sector by bringing finance to Morocco. Because at the end of the day, we were talking about the figures, about the startups that are falling apart. Finance is key. And finance is key with the right people, the right team, at the right moment. Miriam, can you tell us, as a financier, what is your experience about those last 5 years in Morocco as a financier? How do the international ecosystem of finance see Morocco's startups ecosystem? And how do you see it since the model of development was presented to the Moroccan population, to the King Mohammed VI, and to CGM, because Mr. Ben Moussa came first to CGM to share with us his vision about the model. How do you see this migration between what was happening and what's going to happen?
Thank you, Karim. You put a lot of pressure in your question, but I am happy to be with you today. Especially happy because I think that the Morocco Now brand is fit perfectly with the timing of Morocco as a tech hub. Honestly, we are at a tipping point today as a hub, and we have all the argument to be a very attractive investment destination in tech and being one of the leading tech provider in the region. So why I'm saying this, I think that over the last years, my colleagues have already mentioned this, but Morocco has built, in fact, a very interesting 3 key pillars, let's say, to the development of this tech digital industry. One of them is definitely the digital infrastructure. The second one is talent, which is a very important thing, talent pool. We are producing 10K engineers per year. It's still small. We have a lot of ambition, but 10K, and we have the mindset, and we have a very good representative of this strong ICT industry.
Did you say 10K?
10K.
10,000?
10,000
okay, so
engineers per year.
We're producing 10,000 engineers, and you think it's enough?
No, it's not enough, but we need to massify it and to make this at an industrial scale.
Right.
But it's still, okay, we have a good talent pool in Morocco. And the third thing is that we have developed this innovative ecosystem with a VC fund, first generation of VC fund, accelerator and incubators, as well as patents and research and development ecosystem with 300 patents every year registered by the Moroccans all over the world. So this, let's say, is what we had on the financing point of view. As you said, digital is not something that is nice to have. Now is a must-have digital economy. And the idea for us in terms of financing space is that we over the last 4 years, we have a real development. With this first generation of VC funds, we were able, in fact, to build a track record, because that was missing. I mean, this was very important, and to show the potential of this market, and to show it directly, to demonstrate it directly on the field. That was the most important thing for us. We managed to finance a little bit more than 30 startups with a ticket size in terms of average of 1.2 million. We are more positioned on what we call seed and pre-series A tickets, but things are evolving very rapidly. And what is interesting is that we all have this approach, at least within CIF, our approach, I like the sentence who said, think big, start small, and scale up. So what we did is we start small. We did a demonstration fund. And to show all the potential with this talented entrepreneur, either they are in Morocco or from the diaspora, because we have a great potential with our talented entrepreneur all over the world. And we show the potential instead of having endless discussion with investors or saying, no, you have no potential, there is no pipeline, there is no innovation in the country. Go to the field and demonstrate that it is not the case. So over the last 2-3 years, what we were able to achieve is that we deploy our fund very rapidly. We invest in very diversified sectors. I mean, health tech, ed tech, cybersecurity, agri-tech. So we have a very diversified fintech. Of course, I have forgotten the most important one. So very important and diversified sectors. And more importantly, we generate impact. I mean, these startups are creating, for example, our job creation multiple is more than 5 times. So it's very important, and 40% held by women, which is very also important point to mention. So it means that now we are really at the scale-up phase. And the scale-up phase, we need to be, I mean, we have our own DNA as a market, and we need to position our market and to position Morocco, but what is exactly our DNA and how is this tech market for Morocco. And it's a great potential because we believe we did a VC study on the industry all over North Africa. And we defined some key features of what is this Moroccan VC industry. Very important, our startups are B2B rather than B2C approach. We have a very strong, B2B SaaS sector that is developing in Morocco based on this talented entrepreneur. Second thing is that our entrepreneurs are ambitious and going either regional or, let's say, international. This is due also is that our domestic market is seen as small, but it's also an opportunity because our companies and our entrepreneurs are going international, and this ambition is very important. And the third thing that is also important is that it is driven by a technological asset that is strong asset. And it's not just, let's say, e-commerce or marketplace, it's really very solid, let's say, asset in terms of technology. Yeah. So all this give us our own DNA, and now we are at the scale-up level, and the timing is perfect. Why? Because we have this new model of development report. Every energy in the country is focused on the same vision, doing this digital nation and this startup nation. We have all the means now. The objective is just to convert it into reality.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you, Mariam. It's very, very wise of you. Mariam just spoke about the model of development again. Gentlemen, with a lady, I would ask you for 1.5 minutes, 2 minutes, to give the audience, to give everybody here, because it's a major interest for all of us, to know what would be the 3 major ingredients, in your opinion, to make this vision of the model of development come true, but doing very openly, very wisely, and I would suggest that even if you say the same thing as your neighbor, never mind, that means it's of an importance. What is important for us is to get the 3 major ideas or pillars or actions to put, whether it's private actions, whether it's with the government, whatever, to put this together and to work on the same path. Go ahead, Khalid, please.
Thank you, Karim. So for me, the primary one I would say is to train more Moroccan talent. What we are doing today at the OCP group level and at the University of Mohammed VI, of trying to create a hybrid platform to scale up the training, exactly what Mariam was saying. We need to scale up our efforts, not only within the entrepreneurship market from an execution perspective, but we need the pipeline of talent that will feed into that entrepreneurial spirit and that will push our startup to be able to scale up further and to provide to the international market. The second point would be to have a larger focus on the digital economy itself as a national strategy. So aside from saying digital can help this or that sector, we need to work on the digital economy itself and consider it as a driver for our GDP increment. And the third would be how to transform the administration and how to transform our vital sectors, such as education and healthcare, through technology to reduce our cost for equity service and at the same time to generalize the best services we can do to our citizens so that we can provide them with the right environment and the right infrastructure to be able to pick up and go into higher value work and to higher value assets.
Yeah, thank you, Khalid. It's very wise of you. And maybe one of the major pillars is effectively on human resources. Abslam, you have an extensive view about what the other countries did because you're thriving all around the world. What is your opinion about the future?
So I think Khalid said very, very important things. What I would add to what Khalid said is the ability to build the trust between the entrepreneurs and the business world. I think what Mehdi we're saying about building an ecosystem to incubators, financing, this is very important. And I think there is still a distance between this world of success and where we need to pull people. I think this has been done. I think it's very positive. We need to work on that. I think education would help. I think healthcare would help. I think we are in the very beginning of very, very nice story. And working on this trust, in addition to what Khalid mentioned, I think we'll be able to get there.
Yeah, great. Absolutely. Absolutely. Mehdi Alaoui.
Yes. I would love to come back to some key number. The digital economy represents today 23 trillion in the world. It's the biggest sector, the most important, with 700 billion investment each year in the world. And the digital economy represents today 25% of the global global economy. So it's the time now for Morocco to invest on this digital economy. Definitely, we already have an MVP that are working, but it's time to scale. And I truly believe that the Morocco Tech brand that we are launching is a unique opportunity for us as a Moroccan to showcase what we do in Morocco for outside. So my three major things is only one at the end of the day, is that we can build together this Morocco Tech.
So be completely in a team's position and ready to rock, not only in Morocco but internationally, because we have something to sell.
Definitely.
Mehdi Kitani?
Yeah, I will not repeat all the information that you have from for the resources, but just to say that we have schools and we have the critical size to do more and to scale up. We compete with the best in class in terms of skills. We have hundreds of our students going to the best schools in the world, and coming back to Morocco. That means that we have the platform to do more and to deliver more. I just want to add a comment. You asked me to talk about a little bit of digital cluster, and I will just give you an example of what we did in terms of developing the ecosystem of innovation. We had an experiment with Masir, you know maybe Masir, which is a Moroccan foundation for international research, and we developed with them an interface between their spectral test they invented and they used and they produced. We interfaced this spectral test with one of our tools to follow or to monitor all the health paths and all the COVID-19 healthcare about our people and our resources in the company. And it's an industrialized product today, and innovation is making ideas, product, and business. And today I have to say that this idea is now a product and a business.
So link between the companies, the real players, the entrepreneurs, and the research and development ecosystem is very, very key on the success of this policy. Mariam, you are the last but not the least. You are our lady today, as we have mainly gentlemen in our panels. Tell us your vision. You are very prompt to criticize, not only positively, but only sometimes negatively when it doesn't work, as an environment, an ecosystem. Can you tell us about what you think about the next 5 years to come? What do we need, not only at CGM, as I would say, a force of proposal, of laws, having also parliamentaries. We have 8 parliamentaries in the Moroccan parliament to defend the laws, to go furthermore. We have a vision on an international scale. What would you suggest that we do to fulfill this vision of the model of development?
I think what is important is to improve the doing business for this digital economy. We have within CGM a lot of proposal in terms of tax incentive, but also legal as well as regulatory reforms that are necessary for the development of this economy. And we cannot, having the full potential of this economy without having the right doing business and the good environment to develop this economy. So the first thing, and our role also as a private sector representative within CGM, with the help of all the parties around the table, is to push for these reforms and to make sure that these reforms are in favor of this entrepreneur and developing, in fact, not only jobs, but also creating value for this country. Because we are losing, when we lose an entrepreneur, we lose not only his job, but all the potential jobs that he was able to create in the country. So definitely this is how we need not only to retain our talents, entrepreneur talented, but to attract other and being a real hub for us. So I think that the motivation is there, but now we need to make sure that it is transformed and in terms of legal and tax framework. The second thing that is very important for me is that I think we have a lot of energies, as I said, around this tech hub and this Moroccan tech brand. It's time to join efforts because by consolidating the efforts, we will be stronger in our proposal and we will be able to scale up. I mean, this is not only towards our Moroccan public, government, but also internationally. We need to be a little bit more aggressive, sorry for the term, to market and to present, to communicate about the potential of our country. I mean, definitely Morocco is underserved in terms of financing by all international investors, and our role, all the parties around the table, is just to make sure that everyone is aware of all this potential, and it's Morocco now for the tech hub.
Absolutely, and you are the best ambassadors for that, ladies and gentlemen. I want you to give a round of applause to our panel. Thank you very, very much. We're going to welcome, thank you. We're going to welcome the next panel for you. View of the tech ecosystem in Morocco. Outsourcing panel, and then you might have some questions to ask to all. So I'll ask you panelists to stay close to us because there might be some questions for you. Ouais. Tu mets là, Christian? C'est bon? Non, je peux t'interroger en français. C'est bien, je peux t'interroger en français. I would like the panelists to stay because there might be some questions for them. Questions that will be asked after this second panels of panel. We refill? Trees? No, thanks, c'est bon. Indeed. Oui, je te dirai ce que c'est. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is our second panel of the Digital Innovative Nation and Technology Producer, Morocco. This panel is about a very important topic because at the end of the day, it addresses what you listened to as the major raw material, the major resource of Morocco, being able to thrive not only internally but externally, which is the human resources. And those gentlemen that you have here, most of them, are people that are from the first thing in the morning till night getting together with human resources and data handled by human resources which they have to protect. And we wanted to have this panel at the end of the IT and digital innovative Moroccan ecosystem, because the heart of all, as you noticed in the first panel, is that whatever you do in the digital world, it's a human adventure. And a human adventure is not only for the CEOs that you have in front of you today, but for each and any one of their employees, of their collaborators that are shaping their career on this technology world, which is evolving and thriving every day. Every single day when I wake up, I check my technology board and I see things being disrupted anywhere in the world. And at the same time, you have most of those companies around here investing millions and millions and hundreds of millions of dollars by keeping their human resources at scale. We talked about scale in the previous panel, but scale is also on the education level, on the way that you can thrive in a non-ending process of evolving, of inventing, and being part of this world that if you miss 1 month, we were talking about it during lunch, you are out of the game, ladies and gentlemen. You better be aware of what you're doing because you don't have a second chance to do it because someone will overpass you. I will start by presenting you Youssef Shraibi. Youssef, you are president of the Moroccan Federation of Outsourcing. Tu es le président de la Fédération marocaine d'outsourcing qui a été récemment créée. Tu as une lourde responsabilité parce que le secteur est un secteur très porteur en ressources humaines. Tu es également le CEO d'une société qui a un parcours extraordinaire puisque tu as été une des premières entreprises marocaines à racheter des entreprises faisant partie d'un écosystème européen, qui sont des écosystèmes extrêmement compétitifs. On se posait la question de dire, mais comment est-ce qu'une start-up marocaine comme Outsourcia peut se permettre d'aller acheter des players à travers le monde, notamment en Europe, où la main-d'œuvre est extrêmement d'un niveau extrêmement élevé et où les standards sont, par voie de conséquence, extrêmement élevés, mais on a vu que les standards étaient digitalisés et qu'ils existaient partout. De la même manière, si on voulait exister et se développer dans ce domaine. So, Youssef, est-ce que tu peux nous dire en quelques mots, d'abord, l'essence de la création de cette fédération, les raisons de la création de cette fédération et la vision que porte cette fédération au regard du modèle de développement. Et ensuite, nous parliez de l'expérience d'Outsourcia, qui fait partie de cet écosystème, et comment elle, tu la vois se développer dans l'environnement que tu es en train, avec tes amis, tes collègues religionnaires, de favoriser, dont tu es en train de favoriser le développement.
Merci. Vous m'entendez?
Oui, oui.
Merci pour votre invitation. Je suis ravi d'être avec vous aujourd'hui et partager ce panel avec vous pour parler de ce secteur qui, effectivement, pour répondre à ta question, est un secteur qui est devenu stratégique dans notre pays et qui n'existait pas il y a 20 ans, d'où l'importance aussi de lui donner toute l'importance qu'il mérite et l'idée d'avoir créé cette fédération au sein de la CGEM. Aujourd'hui, on emploie 120 000 personnes. On est devenu le 3e secteur le plus important en termes de revenus à l'export. Et en termes de création d'emplois, on a vu que même pendant la pandémie, on a été le secteur le plus résilient puisqu'il y a eu de la création nette d'emplois en 2020, alors que c'était vraiment exceptionnel. On est aujourd'hui dans une logique où, comme tu le disais, l'enjeu fondamental reste celui des ressources humaines, qui a un vrai atout de notre pays, qui a permis en fait de se distinguer il y a 20 ans pour rentrer dans la carte mondiale des destinations de l'offshoring. On dit que le Maroc est devenu aujourd'hui une destination nearshore, puisqu'en fait le marché principal est celui de l'Europe. On voit que beaucoup de pays africains se sont positionnés dans ces métiers également, et que le Maroc garde son rang de destination numéro 1 dans la région, alors même que, en termes de coûts, ce n'est pas la destination la plus compétitive, et ce qui démontre que la qualité de nos ressources est un atout fondamental. Le niveau de maîtrise qu'on peut proposer, la qualité de l'encadrement intermédiaire dont on dispose, tout ce qu'on a mis en place en termes de process, de méthodologie, de reporting qui permettent de garder cette proximité avec nos donneurs d'ordre, font qu'on continue à attirer à peu près un marché sur 2. Je parle du marché français qui est notre principal marché d'ordre, continue à venir au Maroc, alors même que beaucoup d'autres pays en Afrique subsaharienne se sont positionnés sur ces métiers avec des tarifs beaucoup plus attractifs, mais on continue à trouver dans le Maroc ce qu'on peut appeler la destination qui est best shore, qui offre un très bon rapport qualité-prix, puisqu'on a une très forte proximité au niveau linguistique, bien entendu, avec les principales destinations européennes, au niveau géographique, au niveau culturel. Et puis surtout, il y a beaucoup d'acteurs majeurs européens qui ont fait confiance au Maroc très tôt et qui font qu'aujourd'hui, c'est un must. Il y a encore beaucoup de donneurs d'ordre qui décident de venir au Maroc parce qu'on sait qu'en termes de qualité de ressources humaines, on arrive à trouver un niveau d'expertise qui est très en avance. Alors,
pour Outsourcia,
oui.
quelle est précisément la vision que tu veux imprimer
alors la vision, effectivement, nous on a démarré au Maroc donc il y a 18 ans avec un positionnement unique qui était celui d'offrir des prestations à moindre coût à des donneurs d'ordre français. Le Maroc était considéré comme une destination offshore, je disais à l'époque. On a vu que progressivement il fallait aller dans d'autres zones encore plus compétitives en termes de coûts. Donc nous-mêmes on a investi en Afrique, et donc l'Afrique aujourd'hui est très complémentaire pour nous en termes de zones de production, puisqu'on arrive par exemple pour des mêmes clients à gérer une partie des opérations en France, et c'est la raison pour laquelle on a été le premier acteur marocain à décider d'investir sur le marché français, puisqu'on a vu que c'était très complémentaire pour nous et qu'il y avait besoin dans certains cas de traiter une partie des flux à plus forte valeur sur place en France, en onshore, et puis dans certains cas pour les flux les plus basiques, les plus normés, standardisés. C'est comme dans l'industrie, hein, on a retrouvé les mêmes enjeux, les mêmes problématiques dans les services. Là où il faut vraiment être dans une logique très industrielle à moindre coût, on a vu par exemple que Madagascar pouvait être très intéressant en termes de coûts de production, puisqu'on a des niveaux de salaire qui sont 4 fois inférieurs à ceux du Maroc. Donc si vous voulez, il n'y a pas de véritable compétition, parce qu'on a vu qu'il y a une géographie qui s'est dessinée en fonction de type de prestations qu'on devait gérer. Et dans certains cas, lorsqu'il fallait avoir par exemple une expertise dans un certain domaine, on va pouvoir trouver des ressources qui vont être plus adaptées en fonction des marchés. Et donc on a vu qu'il était fondamental de pouvoir être présent sur plusieurs marchés, en onshore, en inshore et aussi en offshore. Et également la problématique multilingue, puisqu'on traite 7 langues aujourd'hui au niveau d'outsourcing. Et puis on a développé tous les nouveaux métiers. Notre métier de base, c'était celui de la relation client. Aujourd'hui, c'est moins de 50% de notre chiffre d'affaires. Donc on a développé tous les autres écosystèmes de l'outsourcing, avec de plus en plus de BPO, mais également de l'IT. Et puis on a développé le secteur de la santé, par exemple, aussi. On voit qu'il y a des médecins en Europe qui vont nous confier la rédaction de comptes rendus médicaux au Maroc. Donc voilà, on voit qu'il y a une autoroute d'opportunités dans ce secteur qui pèse uniquement sur le marché français plus de 3 milliards d'euros de revenus, uniquement sur la partie francophone, relations clients. Donc ça vous donne une idée de tout ce qui peut être développé par ailleurs, et qu'on est très très bien positionné pour tirer parti en fait de ces opportunités, avec bien entendu toujours cette problématique majeure qui est de continuer à avoir des ressources avec un très bon niveau qui nous permettent de faire la différence et de justifier des prix de vente et des marges qui doivent rester attractives.
Oui, merci Youssef. Driss El Asri, vous êtes CEO de Capgemini Morocco, vous présidez le Moroccan Capgemini Country Board, hein, c'est un leader mondial des partenariats avec des entreprises qui leur permet de transformer et gérer leurs activités. Let's do it in English, if you may. Driss, you heard about what Youssef just said about the complexity of the matrix to bring together not only languages, but topics and very narrow sectors, different kind of level of engineers, and different countries at the end of the day. How do you see, as a big player worldwide, how do you see the outsourcing sector led by the Morocco screen, and how do you feel this new model of development can help the outsourcing business that you're doing? We were talking during lunch of the arbitration that people make that are most of the time objective, but sometimes subjective about their potential of giving away or giving up their confidence to a big company anywhere in the world. How do you see this involving with the best insurance that Morocco goes in the right way, knowing that you're such a big player worldwide, that you can have patterns coming over anywhere in the world that you can adopt for the Moroccan IT and outsourcing ecosystem?
Thank you for the invitation. So let me just introduce rapidly Capgemini Group. So 290,000 employees in the world.
290,000
in the world, and 70 countries. So we are a group that is partnering with his customers to enable transform their activities with technology. and you know the importance of technology today. And in Morocco, we are present in IT services and in engineering services, and we account for, and we have more than 4,000 employees in Morocco. I'm really amazed with the activities of our employees that they are able to do in Morocco, because we are able today to work in different sectors. Now, I will give you some examples. So we have prestigious customers like Stellantis, like Daimler, like Porsche, like Volvo. In the automotive sector, we have also customers in the aeronautics with Renault. So customer, I'm very happy to see lots of customers here in the room. We are present in the aeronautics, in railways, and all of that is done from Morocco in engineering. So we have people working on the design of doors of some of the automotive, with complete designs that are done in Morocco, with the quality of engineering of very advanced industrial customers in the rail, with Airbus, which is done from Morocco. So these activities with 4,000 people is really something that we are proud of, because it's the talents that we have here. It's thanks to our engineers in electrical, mechanical field. It's also a wide range of competencies, and we are able to tackle 13 countries from Morocco, mainly in Europe, but also in the North America. And so, as you said, what are the trends? What are the elements? So we are a small part of the whole supply chain, and what we see is that we are ideally positioned with our competencies to be able to have an impact on all the engineering and the IT, with short-term cycles, with reactivity, with high intensity of technology, thanks to our competencies that we have in Morocco. We have 20,000 engineers, around 20,000 engineers that are graduating in Morocco, highly competent, and we are able to put them world class. What I like about it is that it's something which is very specific, is to be able to have also in this field half of it, or half of them, who are women. And this enables us to position ourselves also as not only player in technology, but also a player of a diverse world, having an impact on our customers.
How do you explain that there's so few women in the digital, worldwide, but particularly in Morocco, where we start from scratch, really, and we can do things the best way we can. And we know how we can help the genre thrive in Morocco and leapfrog from situation A to situation Z. How do you explain this unbalanced, and how would you see, what would be the ideas you would propose to the government to push for this rebalancing, or nearly bringing the genre more like much more women, like from 10 to 20% to 30%?
So we are happy in our field because we have many women, in fact. So worldwide in our group, we are more in the north 20s, 30% of people, and in Morocco,
that's a very good average, because worldwide it's less than 15%.
It's less than 50%, but in Morocco we are 45%, so we are almost balanced.
Fantastic.
And I see lots of colleagues in the IT world who are in the same way, and this is because in our universities in Morocco there is a lot of attraction to the women here, which is not the same way that we have worldwide, which is we have balanced people already in our universities. So we can, and this enables us also so the answer is that we're already there. We're already doing a lot, and we have this generation growing, and this is really amazing, because also in the country, I found myself in a North Africa, Arab country, being able to give lessons to other countries in the world on how, on the level of high talents and women that we have in our corporations. So this is something which is quite unique, and this is something that also is a key element in Morocco, because it makes evolve things within Morocco.
Yeah, thank you, Idriss. Idriss spoke about the level of putting up I would say the intelligence that he has around him in his company. Christian Chapelle, you're the vice president in charge of Monozokuri, I think it should be pronounced, operation of Stellantis in the Middle East and the African region. You have a very, very wide experience, and we saw out of the experience of Idriss how the car industry is disrupted, is in a way or in a process to be completely disrupted in those last 2 years and future probably 5 years because of energy, because of the way the car is driven. I mean, everything nearly is changed in the car except probably the cockpit that would stay the same, and we need it because we need to be completely formally secure. Christian, tell us about the tremendous experience of your group, because I'm in admiration for a group that decided to come and produce, I don't say about outsourcing, but producing cars in Morocco, and it's so many progress in a such short period of time in our country. I just want to remember our audience that you're part of the PSA group, which is the Peugeot group, and that you're in charge of the outsourcing for the whole region, particularly in Morocco. So can you tell us about how powerful your decisions, because I was listening to you talking to a lady in the beginning of our conference, saying to her, part of me is French, but a big part of me is Moroccan. There must be a reason for that, because you're not a man that plays around with just because I like Morocco, I want to thrive in Morocco. There must be some logical reasons, some structural reasons, and some financial reasons also, because as I understand from Idriss, you always do some arbitration on some, I'm going to this country or this country or this country. You work mainly for your group. You're going to explain to us what you do. But in terms of decision of coming to Morocco, how did it happen, and how does happen your involvement? How do you see it?
Thank you, Karim. Just automotive industry is changing completely. Even the cockpit will change. When the car will be fully autonomous, I think we don't need a... Okay. So, yes, so big changes, energy transition, connected car, autonomous car, and also car as a service. And not anymore, I am the owner of my car. No, I use the car as a service. AMI, I presented before, is really an example of what could be a service for the future. So how we make the decision to come to Morocco, and why? I think first, Morocco has an energy, talent, young people. They want to do something. They want to achieve something. They want to go further. They want to go ahead. And when we were talking about men and women, in the tech center we have in Casablanca, we are very close to Idriss, we have 40% of young women engineers. Fantastic. They are pushing. And it's very good, because the stimulation is very good. These young ladies are pushing their colleagues, their male colleagues, and the emulation is fantastic. For example, in the tech center we have in North America, because now we are also Fiat Chrysler, in Italy with Fiat, in Germany with Opel, or in France with previous PSA brands. We have, in automotive industry, we have 15 women in terms of percentage, 15%. Here in Morocco, we have 40%.
You mean 50?
15, 1-5.
1-5, only.
1-5, only. So one of the main decision, key topic to make the decision is attractiveness of Morocco in terms of skills, in terms of talents. So we have it here today. The schools in Morocco are very good. Engineering schools are very good. They don't have to be shy when they compare with Europe, with US. The engineers going outside of the Moroccan schools today are best in class. I heard before best in class. Yes, that's the case. So now these people are young people. They are really demanding. So our role is to coach them, to help them to grow. And it's easy. It's easy. So we can find people for production. We have the Kenitra plant. We have very good engineers there and very good workers. We decided to implement the tech center in Casablanca. This tech center is not working for Morocco. It's one of the tech centers of the Stellantis group. 14 brands.
So that means all over the world.
Yes, 14 brands. I don't know, maybe if you know the 14 brands of Stellantis, I will not say it now, but...
Just give an example of...
But you have Peugeot, but you have also Maserati, you have also Ram, the big pickup, you have Dodge, you have Alfa Romeo, you have Opel. Okay, so these kind of brands, 14. This tech center in Casablanca is working for all the brands all around the world. It's an excellent center, as we call. For example, in terms of electricity, electric and electronic architecture, software development, previous PSA group architecture today, electricity architecture are designed in Casablanca. All the software components are made in Casablanca. All the upgrades of your cars, if you buy a Peugeot, Citroën, and Opel, is made in Casablanca. Okay, so
you understood that if you have an accident, next time you'll know where it comes from.
So we have all these skills here available in Morocco with what we call engineering the V-cycle. That is to say, from the very beginning, when we have the demand coming from product planning, then all the design of the components, design of the software, design of the algorithm, then all the validation. And we are working with Moroccan government. We have SETIEV, for example. We are today able at the SETIEV in Casablanca to validate with software in the loop, with hardware in the loop, all the component software we are developing. And we are working to develop a test center. It will come in the future. To validate completely the car on real life. So this decision to go to Morocco is because here you have talent, you have the stability, you have strong push of the state. Every time we need help, Moroccan government is here to help us, to facilitate, and it's really key, and I will say unique in this part of the world.
How many people are you ruling, are you managing in Morocco, and how do you manage them? How are you structured to manage all the different topics for the Stellantis group?
Well, Kenitra plant is today close to 3,000 people, direct employees. The tech center in Casablanca is 1,000, working with a lot of contractors, as Capgemini, Segula, and others. So, but 1,000 direct. And then we have the headquarters, 100 people, where we are managing all the 82 countries of the Middle East and Africa region.
Wow, that's interesting. And thank you, Christian, for your insight. I will come to Hassan. Hassan Bahaj, you are the CEO of IBM Morocco. You also work as an IBM provider. Everybody knows IBM because we all had our laptop some years ago with the little green dots in it. So we know what is IBM, and thanks God IBM pushes for the vulgarization of the PC and much ahead. Well, your previous CEO teach how the elephant could dance. Today you're going to talk to us about a very special topics which is related to what also Celantis is doing, is the activities of IBM Morocco that are directed also into the outsourcing, but for the IBM purposes, for the IBM needs worldwide, and goes know how IBM is a big company, and imagining that it gives part of its research and development to Morocco is really a good idea and a good news for Morocco. So tell us, Hassan, how you decided to kick off this activity and how it's doing, and why do you, on a day-to-day basis, convince, and how do you convince IBM to bring you business in Morocco?
Thank you, Karim, for the introduction. I am very happy to be with you today. You summarize everything about IBM, so I am not going to explain what IBM is doing. As a leader worldwide, I will more talk about IBM Morocco investments and why IBM come to Morocco. So first, IBM is present here in Morocco since 1932. It means a lot. Since 1932, you know, you talk about laptops. IBM spent more than 6 billion in R&D. Today we are talking about cloud, AI, cybersecurity, etc. So in Morocco, we play really a crucial role in economic development of Morocco and the digital transformation. And not only we serve our client worldwide, but we help locally bank, telco, and all government to make sure that they are at the level of digitalization. So in Morocco, we invest since 10 years. Today, on the first part is to make Morocco as a hub, technology hub for North Africa and French-speaking countries, which means that we have an innovation center with all high-tech technology like blockchain, AI, and all this emerging technology. And we serve all our clients worldwide, as you say. We have clients like today ExxonMobil in Canada, Air Canada, Schlumberger. Here in Middle East, first Abu Dhabi Bank. We have also the Ministry of Health and Population, Bank of Saudi. So, I mean, we cover the whole, region. Now, when you look in Morocco, as Christian, my colleague, says, we have talented people. But unfortunately, sometimes we don't have the right skills for specific needs. What we decide in Morocco, and they really push for this, is to implement the IBM Skills Academy inside of Morocco. And we train 300 teachers and more than 6,000 students around this kind of technology.
So you train trainers to better train students.
And also 6,000 students with webinar. We have a special data center with the e-learning platform. And it's not only for IBM, it's really to help Morocco have the right skills. This is the first part, IBM Skills Academy. The second one is really to work, because when you are in the universities, sometimes a little bit late to bring technology to
the mentality.
So what we have done, and it was Barack Obama who launched this program, which is PTech, Pathways to Technology, Early College, High School, which means in French, secondaire, à partir de la seconde, 5 years. It's a partnership with the Ministry of Education and the ecosystem in Morocco. We select 3 areas. The first one is the banking, second one IT and industry. So today we have schools in Morocco since second. I mean, they have the classic education, but we help them to have some, what we say, capsule on technology, on banking, industry. So when they will reach Bac plus 2, second year, they will be able to go either to go to work, they will be ready because the partnership we have done today with some bank, with industry, is really to have some mentors working with them, helping them to evolve, and when they will have their diploma, they will be ready to work. This is really, really fundamental. And I hope we will continue in this way with this new government. But Shakib, I am quite sure that he will buy the idea because he signed, his former minister has signed this program. The third one, where I would like also to explain it, you know that Africa today, we are 1.4 billion population. In 2050, we will be 2.8, a double, which means the future is in Africa. So IBM invested in a digital platform for e-learning based on AI, which is free for African population. And this platform helps the young people to train them on IT technology, which means it's based on AI. It's like a mentor. You go, you can explore, and you have videos. You have really a digital mentor who help you to build your skills. It's also used by startups because you have some already built model you can include in your application. And the third, it helps to coach you and see the link between your skills and the market for job. So this platform is www.digitalnationafrica.com. You will be surprised.
Write it down, www.digitalafrica.com. You go there and you become an engineer.
Absolutely. Sure. I give you 3 months and you will be enough. So this is, I mean, the area where we make developments. We also, and maybe it will be, je vais passer la balle à mon ami, we also created a joint venture with the OCP to show you that IBM believe and trust Morocco. And with OCP, we create a center of competence, I mean, TIL technology services, which help first OCP to get to the next level of IT, and also help them to produce the right fertilizer for the right farmer. Because as you know, with the AI, with the IoT, today we can know what is the pH of the soil and all this stuff. We get it, we make some model, and then they can produce the fertilizer adapted for each country. This is the area where IBM is present.
I love it when the panelists give you the hand to go to the next panelist because it helps you a lot. Let's go to you, Hisham Alawi. You are the managing director of Atlas Cloud Services. All those guys that we saw today are thriving to store their data, to have a partner that help them make their calculations whenever they have to go for calculations in whatever team it is. I know we have here today also the one of the Directeur Général Adjoint of Huawei, who is a big player in the field that you use as a client, which is a cloud computing with a data center and cloud computing, which is 2 different parts. Cloud computing is one, data center storage is also another part. It's part of the UMC group, which is a big group you're going to talk about in a while. And you are an example of a man has thrived all his life on the digital environment because we were a former CEO of Fujitsu, which is very known in the digital ecosystem, the Fujitsu Technology Solutions mainly. And you were also head sales of Xerox North and West Africa. I met you when you were at Nixdorf, which is a German company, a while ago, probably 20, 25 years ago. And today, here you are, being in the head of responsibility of what is considered today as the biggest cloud and data center solution in Morocco and probably in Africa today. With this whole pressure on your shoulders, Hisham, how do you see your activity thriving in a manner that you can sustain? Because as Christian said, we're in the midst of and Christian also Miriam said, we're in the midst of a tipping point in all sectors, in the automotive sectors, in the IT sectors, in all the sectors that you embrace, guys, and the different solutions that you provide. How do you see, because I had a conversation with two people from the previous government about cloud computing about 2 years ago, and they were far from imagining how important it was, unfortunately. And today we know it's key. It's not only key, but you cannot outpass it. And there's also a question of the sovereignty of the data. How do you envision and how your company is looking at it, seeing this whole wave of data coming over to you, the different clients, knowing now that you can provide them with the highest level of standards? How are you going to handle it?
Right. Thank you. Just imagine a very rapid train coming to you, and you are not prepared. This is the way it was 2 years ago. So we had a very TGV, very high-speed train coming, and you are not prepared to. So the vision is to be prepared, because tomorrow is already today, because data is moving very fast. If we are not prepared, others are prepared instead of us. So now, whether we are prepared or no, so the vision I have is that we need to be more prepared than ever, because time is moving very fast. If we are not doing it, someone else will do it. So all those gentlemen within these panels, even the panel before, were discussing about data. We are talking here about data, and especially with the COVID, this has demonstrated that this is moving fast. If we were not having digital applications, the world would have stopped, especially education, finance, banks. Everything was linked to data, and we were in Morocco prepared because of the data centers, because of the cloud, because of the connectivity. And this is to jump to Atlas Cloud Services. We are one of the biggest data centers in Africa. We are T4, and even I did some surveys within Middle East and Africa. We don't have a lot of T4s.
Can you explain us a little bit how is T4? Because people
the T4 data center is a kind of certification done by Uptime and giving the level of security, the level of maturity of a data center. And for example, like energy, you need to have multi sources coming to the data center. You have the electricity, you have the fuel, you have the solar energy, and you can have even more, wind energy. So Tier 4 is a minimum of 2. In Atlas Cloud Services, we have already 2, and the third is coming, which is solar. By end of this year, we will have 3 sources of energy in the data center. This means that we will be the first green data center in Africa. So the aim is to be at something like 60% solar than electricity. So Atlas Cloud Services is one of the biggest, as I said. It's something like 200 square meter IT rooms, which is one of the biggest, which is the biggest in Morocco, but one of the biggest in Africa. It is something like 5 megawatt IT load, which is by far the biggest compute, if we can name it, compute power in Morocco. 100% Moroccan engineers. And just to respond to the gender percentage, Atlas Cloud Services is part of UM6P, and the gender ratio in the UM6 UMCSP is 52% ladies, 48
Gentlemen.
gentlemen. So
Unbeatable. See, we have a gender panel today.
okay.
You spoke about security.
Yep.
Security is key for everyone. Every one of those gentlemen, when they wake up in the morning, they take care of the security data. How do you see the security in the sovereign Moroccan case? Because a lot of countries are, we hear here and there that Europe is really thriving to have big data centers to handle their own security, because part of it is in the US, part of it is outside, we don't know where, handled by AWC, by other players, Google, and so on and so forth, Microsoft. How do you see a company like yours securing the sovereignty of the data in Morocco?
First, it starts from regulations. So when we have regulation within the country, this can be emphasized or fostered. For example, in Europe, GDPR. In Morocco, we have our own regulation that will protect the data, and especially to bring the data into the country just to avoid any attacks, because attacks we will have. This is certain. So for the last example is in the US, the channels fueling all America. So if you are attacked, means that it's hundreds of millions of dollars per day. So you need to be prepared. In order to be prepared, you need to have a lot of technology behind. And this is linking me to the cloud. 100% of all the application in 2 years will be all in the cloud, nothing on premises, and we need to be prepared. If we are not prepared, we don't have all those gentlemen will not be able to do their services to outside Morocco and to get this outsourcing into Morocco. So we need to be prepared now, because the train is very quick, it's very rapid. We are losing time if we are not reacting now, because wait and see is never a solution. You need to act now. It's already too late if you are not acting now.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that brings to the last questions I want to ask all of you panelists. Youssef, you heard about the speed of change, the speed of novelty in the digital sector. And you are players that are helping up this digital sector thrive all over the world, not only in Morocco, with the human resources that we have here being trained in wonderful schools, as Christian mentioned, and or as Hassan also mentioned. We have tremendous opportunities in different sectors, as Driss mentioned. How do you see the way we can jump on that wave as good men and women surfers to be able to be ahead of the curve all the time? Because as we heard, if you are not fast enough, you lose it. So how do you see it coming in few words?
Je reprends la main en français pour s'adresser à 80% de nos chiffres d'affaires. C'est eux qu'on va chercher avant tout. Alors, il y a une chose qui est très importante, effectivement. Initialement, on venait au Maroc pour chercher des ressources de qualité avec des conditions économiques attractives. On a vu que l'intelligence artificielle pouvait venir perturber ça ou alors présenter une véritable opportunité pour nous. La réalité aujourd'hui, c'est que les acteurs les plus performants proposent des solutions bundlées qui intègrent de l'humain, de la technologie et de la maîtrise de certains process. Donc aujourd'hui, les outsourceurs qui étaient initialement des fournisseurs de main-d'œuvre à moindre coût sont devenus des intégrateurs de solutions globales, où on va nous-mêmes proposer des solutions pour digitaliser, automatiser et développer tout ce qui concerne le self-care, par exemple, et aller vers ce qu'on appelle des agents augmentés. C'est-à-dire qu'on va mettre à disposition des technologies qu'on va nous-mêmes développer, ou alors au minimum intégrer, qui ont été développées.
Ou faire développer par des collègues ici présents.
Et pouvoir proposer une solution global qui répond à une problématique et non pas seulement fournir des ressources qui vont pouvoir être dans une logique de preneur d'ordre avec des cahiers des charges entièrement ficelés par nos donneurs d'ordre, mais réellement apporter une expertise dans certains secteurs en maîtrisant également les processus de certains secteurs d'activité, que ça peut être dans l'assurance, dans la santé, dans beaucoup de domaines. Et donc notre métier a beaucoup évolué et en fait l'intelligence artificielle est pour nous une opportunité unique pour pouvoir justement proposer en fait ces solutions qui combinent les deux, puisqu'on a vu que même les solutions les plus performantes n'arrivent pas en fait à se passer de l'humain. On a vu qu'on arrivait à automatiser jusqu'à 20-30% des flux dans les meilleurs cas, mais les clients demandent systématiquement d'avoir de la personnalisation et ça c'est au niveau du client final. Et nous, nos donneurs d'ordre, ce qu'ils nous demandent, c'est de profiter de chaque interaction pour vendre, fidéliser et générer des revenus additionnels. Donc on ne voit plus en fait dans ces traitements uniquement un centre de coût, mais on voit que aujourd'hui les clients ont une vraie valeur et la meilleure façon de valoriser en fait ce potentiel, c'est d'avoir justement des humains qui vont aussi être aidés par des technologies qui vont nous permettre de donner de la personnalisation, de l'analyse d'historique de consommation par exemple, et qui vont les rendre, on dit, agents augmentés, mais pour pouvoir garder ce lien avec le client final et générer des revenus additionnels. Et donc aujourd'hui, de plus en plus, nos clients voient aussi tout ce qu'on génère comme revenus et non pas seulement ce qu'on leur coûte. Et c'est pour ça que le Maroc a une carte à jouer, puisqu'on a justement toute cette expertise et aussi cette culture commerciale qui est importante et qui va nous permettre de faire la différence.
Merci, merci Youssef. Driss, if you had a magic stick and you would decide or we would empower the government to help the sector for the next 5 years, what are the two major decisions you would like as a big operator in Morocco, the government to take to be ahead of the curve, to be able to thrive with the human resources of Morocco, not being competed undoubtedly with other people? What would those two decisions be taken by the government if you had to advise them?
Yes. So first of all, yes. So first of all, the tomorrow is now, and everything is now, and I see lots of success stories. So talk about what is happening. What is happening is great. We see a tremendous growth. We have tremendous resources. We have talents, and talents are scarce elsewhere. So this is a window of opportunity, and it's not far. Just talk about Morocco as a tech nation, as a Morocco tech, as a tech destination. So this is the first element. So all these success stories, make them known, make us be in the worldwide map, because other countries, they are already there, and we are there. We have the competencies, we have the positioning, we have the proximity, we have the talents. So first of all, talk about all these success stories. Second, continue to invest in our talents, continue to invest in our people, continue to invest in the languages, the European languages, so that we still are in the course. And the third one is to push it a bit more about the R&D, so that we continue to have the skills to be there.
Thank you, Idriss. Christian, you can drop the ball and finish the play that Idriss just started by saying, if you had to speak to the new ministry of digital today, you know she's a very wise lady on digital. She's a hell of a professional, not only in Morocco but internationally. So what would you say to her to help those 100,000, 120,000 people that Youssef talked about, fantastic talents, be 240, 300,000 in a very short time, because at the end of the day, we are going ahead, we are in front of an exponential wave that we have to adopt. What advices would you give the minister, knowing your tremendous experience?
Thank you. I think what Idris said, it's really relevant. It's to bet on the talent of Morocco. And I will recommend to make the link between all the universities of Morocco with the industry, to make this link much stronger. Because innovation is one thing. If you have nothing behind to execute and to make it real, it will create difficulties. So you have startups. I think Mehdi is well experienced on this. We have incubators. We have very good universities in Morocco. UM6P, for example, I went there and there is some very fantastic skills there. We need to have a stronger link with the industry. And digital is the future. Everywhere you will find digital, even in the production, everywhere. So we have to make the link and to reinforce the link between university and then the industries, the big players. Yes. Yeah. And not only the big players, medium players also.
Yeah. Very, very powerful what you just said. You just have to know that Christian mentioned a great point. CGM is actually doing its best effort to link with all of the best universities and research centers. We have the general manager of Masir with us today. Welcome. And the idea was to link the industries, the enterprises, the Moroccan enterprises to the industry, not only for the engineers to be able to learn faster, because at the end of the day, you learn by doing. You see that with the example of PSA, and also Renault. If you don't learn by doing, by touching an air of a plane, of a Bombardier plane, you will learn nothing at the end of the day. And thanks to our ecosystem today, they can not only code, but touch and modify and be a force of proposal. Coming to you, Hassan, IBM is known well everywhere, and you mentioned that you were also working in the training ecosystem. How can other players, such as IBM, because IBM cannot do everything. IBM is very helpful. You have other big players like Huawei, wishes also to do some trainings. They have some facility for the trainings and so on. How players as big as you, as IBM, can show the model not only for the IT players like IBM or whomever, but also for enterprises like us who thrive on a daily basis to push for our collaborators or for people around us to be more keen to be digitalized, to come back to our enterprises to help us. So how do you see this possibility running?
Before I answer to your question, I would like first to come back to what has been discussed. In my point of view on IBM, the 5 coming years are crucial because we talk about security, which is really an important part where we have really a big, need in Morocco. It's why today I am invited the IBM specialist decision maker here to help me in IBM Morocco to put as center of excellence. I have Kautar here with Ahmed in the vein. So first thing is really cyber security is a domain, and as Hisham said, is like TGV is coming in front of you. Security is one of them. The second one, we are talking about the artificial intelligence, and I'm happy to see that Yusuf is already in his mind know that it will be a lot of challenges for his sector because with the machine learning today, you can see the changes. The third one is about the quantum computing. And it's something really to take in account because today, I remember Merkel, before she left, she signed a big project with IBM, more than $500 million about the quantum. And I remember I was invited remotely, and she said, Germany is always at the top of the vision what will happen in the future, especially that she comes from this, I mean, she's a physics professor. So we will have a lot of challenges. So our role in Morocco is, I don't like to talk about outsourcing, to be honest with you, because it has been. I mean, we are talking about center of excellence. Has been, ياك.
As a center of excellence country.
Yes, we need really...
This one has to be pronounced, by the way, by two or three of you.
Absolutely. And I think we have skills, we have people who would like to move on this way. Now, the government, and I'm happy to see that there is a dynamic young ministers, we need today to look on the infrastructure, because today, the infrastructure, we have 3 service providers. We still have issues on 4G. We are not talking about 5G. I know that there is Huawei and many other players. IoT will be also something where we need the 5G for automotive, whatever. So we have a lot of challenges. So we need to create this center of excellence and help then our enterprise, as you ask, to make the digital transformation. But I can tell you that Morocco, in Africa at least, we are ranked, if I cannot say the first or second, you have South Africa, but Morocco is really today a hub for all multinational. I'm not talking only about IBM, but all, the international company, they select Morocco as a hub for their region. And I am really optimistic for the future, inshallah.
Thank you, Hassan. Hisham Alawi, we have 1 minute and a half for our timing for you to conclude, because we have our audience willing to put questions not only to your panel but to the previous one. We talked about the new minister. The new minister is about security. At the end of the day, when you see her CV, you see how anchored she is on security. Security is key in your environment. What advice would you give her as to, I know she's a specialist, she knows what she's talking about, but as a cloud services provider and also part of the ecosystem of the biggest and the most probably advanced university ecosystem, how would you link the policy of the country with the disposal of what Christian mentioned, which is a tremendous network of university on security mainly?
1 minute and a half.
1.5.
So I will be first very positive. I will jump on what Hassan said. I am very optimistic first and very proud second. Third, regarding cybersecurity, regarding security, we have no choice. I mean, especially with 5G coming, IoT, big data, everything. I mean, the doors are open. We need to be safeguarded, like you have your jewels, and it is wide open to everybody. So security is a must. It's not something funny to have. So tomorrow we have some meetings with IBM, for example, and I had a lot of meetings 2 weeks ago in Dubai, 4 weeks ago again in Dubai, and we are discussing with big players because we cannot afford to be attacked because the risk is huge. As I said, this is a train coming. Security is not a train. You lose everything. And we cannot afford that. We need to be well prepared. And I am positive. Frankly speaking, I'm very positive and proud to be in the ecosystem. And for example, just to respond to your question regarding cybersecurity, with some major players like Deloitte, and we are building with the UM6P a new branch of studies around cybersecurity. They are looking right now to hire 300 specialists. And we are preparing, churning some profiles into cybersecurity and others to come, like big data, IoT, and others. I mean, bulk of things coming very fast, and we need to cope with this speed. Absolutely. And this is really exciting, believe me.
Yeah, thank you, thank you. We have to cover ourselves through security to thrive, whatever level, whatever size of companies we have. And we're very, very sensitive at CGM about this security matter. And we will work with the Digital Commission and also with APB and also with you guys in the next future about security, because for us and for enterprises, be aware that 95% of the ecosystem of CGM is small and mid-cap enterprises. And this is the power of our country, Morocco. I mean, you are head of big groups, but you're also small and mid-scale companies that we have to defend, that we have to finance, that you have to help thrive. I want you to give a round of applause to our second panels. Thank you very, very much, gentlemen. And to both panels, whatever the digital entrepreneurs or outsourcers, as you said, what questions could you put to them to understand better? Go ahead. You need a micro? Is there any micro? Here you are. Oh, here's one coming over. The first question is the hardest, so congratulations.
Assalamu alaikum. Well, first of all, I want to thank you all for all the outcome we got from you. The topic is huge, and what we're receiving from you is huge as well. So in terms of exporting the tech, and this is the aim, by the way, Ms. Zairi, she spoke about scaling the business in a commercial way, and she mentioned a very important term, which is the aggression. So in order to hit this aggression, what's your marketing strategy to open up to the different markets and to get more shares in different markets? Why I'm asking this question, and I want to thank as well Mr. Mehdi Alawi, that he mentioned we don't want Morocco to be known as couscous only. We want Morocco to be known as a tech, and we want to brand the Moroccan tech as well. So that's my
Thank you. I will ask Miriam and Mehdi to answer your question because you mentioned their names. Miriam.
We have a chance, is that we haven't natural resources, but what our resources is our talents. So we need to support these talents to go international. That's what we believe. To scale is definitely to go international and to be more ambitious. We can go international by financing, of course, but it's not the sole. I think what is also important is partnership with key corporates, large corporates that can bring you in their luggage, honestly, to be able to achieve and go and have more market shares in different countries. So these partnerships that we can really build between large corporates and large success story, Moroccan success story, but also international success story, and our tech ecosystem in Morocco is really key. And that's why I think we can do it, but we need to have incentivized. That's why within CGM, we are pushing a lot for example, everything related to crédit d'impôt de recherche, which is very important. I mean, keep in mind that tax incentive is also important to, let's say, impulse and develop this relation between and innovative, collaborative innovation between large corporates and startups. So I believe that this is key for us, and I think Mehdi is also acting in the same direction for this kind of great partnerships.
Mehdi?
So thank you for the question. Yeah, definitely I'm agreeing with what Miriam says. I think it's a shift in our mindset as a Moroccan. If you see in this room, we have some decoration. Look here. What we have is infrastructure. This, as a Moroccan, we are proud of that. In the next expo, I would love to see our unicorn there. And we have to build that. And to build that, we need to believe in our new brand, Morocco Tech, and work hand in hand to push it on the front. So this is my answer for your question. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, go ahead.
A quick one. I will be back something like 20-something years ago. I was a witness of HPS starting 26 years ago, something like that. I mean, now I think it's more easy because world is becoming digital. You can be abroad by default, first. Second, you need to trust and to think local, but act global. Think wide open. The market is not Morocco, the market is far abroad Morocco. Just trust your idea and go. This is my message.
Thank you. The next question. Go ahead. Ladies at the back. Is there anyone? So that means you all understood what went on today. I want to thank our panelists on the digital entrepreneurship and on the outsourcing being with us today. You had the top of the top players in Morocco in the IT and digital ecosystem. There are also others. We have a lot of brilliant entrepreneurs. And don't hesitate to take their coordinates. Don't hesitate to contact them. They will handle the relation with you one-on-one. And certainly you will find some tremendous leverage. And as one of our panelists said, we have to make the world spread and to people know the power of our talents and how they can help Morocco around the world thrive in this IT ecosystem. We saw the example of Bangladesh today. The thing that we have to keep in mind to push for the Moroccan digital environment is that each and every country in the world can be a leader. Because at the end of the day, we're all equal as a human. It's just how we handle our human in our country. Thank you very much.